Every March, millions of Americans eat corned beef and cabbage to celebrate Irish heritage. If you did that in Ireland, nobody would know what you were eating. The traditional Irish meal is bacon and cabbage. Corned beef was created on a single street in Manhattan, where Irish immigrants bought salt-cured brisket from Jewish butchers because it was cheaper than the bacon they missed from home. The word corn has nothing to do with corn, and the pink color on your plate is not the natural color of the meat. Without a chemical added during curing corned beef is gray. So what turns it pink? What makes it tender? And how did two immigrant communities on one block create a national holiday dish? Here is the irony. For 2 centuries, Irish workers salted and packed beef for British landlords who shipped it to the Royal Navy. The Irish made corned beef. They never ate it. Cattle belonged to the landlords. The Irish kept pigs and ate bacon. Then in 1845, the potato blight hit 1 million people starved, and another million sailed for New York. They left a country that made corned beef for the world, but never served it to its own people. They landed on the Lower East Side, pressed into tenements beside Jewish families from Eastern Europe. Same poverty, same prejudice, 1 block apart. Kosher butchers hung salt-cured brisket in their windows. The smell of brine and peppercorn reached the street. Irish families recognized something. Not bacon, but close. The same salty cured weight of the meat they had packed for someone else back home. They bought it, boiled it with cabbage, because cabbage cost nothing added potatoes, because that was all they knew. Nobody in those kitchens could have guessed the same meal would sit on a presidential table 16 years later. The dish had no author and no name. It existed because 2 groups who had lost everything landed on the same street and ate what they could afford. By the time America called it Irish, the kosher butchers who cured the brisket were already fading from the story. The process that creates corned beef is built around 2 chemical transformations that happen days apart. The first changes color and flavor. The second changes texture. Neither works without the other. It starts with brisket, the pectoral muscle of the cow, one of the hardest working muscles on the animal, dense with collagen and connective tissue. Raw, it is tough enough to resist a knife. That toughness is the whole point. Tender cuts do not need curing. Brisket does. The brisket goes into a brine. Water, kosher salt, sugar, and a spice that typically includes black peppercorns, coriander, mustard seed, bay leaves, and cloves. Then comes the ingredient that defines everything: Prague powder. Number 1. A curing salt made of 93% sodium chloride and 6.25% sodium nitrite dyed pink, so nobody mistakes it for table salt. 1 teaspoon per 5 pounds of meat. Over 5 to 7 days in the refrigerator, the brine penetrates the muscle. Salt draws moisture out through osmosis. Then the seasoned liquid pushes back in, carrying flavor deep into the fibers. Meanwhile, sodium nitrite reacts with myoglobin, the protein that gives raw meat its red color, producing nitrosamyoglobin. That is what makes corned beef pink. Without nitrite, cured meat turns gray. Same flavor, same safety, but gray. Every piece of pink corned beef you have ever eaten owes its color to that reaction. After curing, the brisket is rinsed and placed in fresh water with more spices. Then the second transformation begins. Low heat around 82 degrees Celsius for 3 hours or more. Collagen slowly breaks down into gelatin. The muscle fibers relax. Connective tissue dissolves into the liquid, turning it rich and silky. What entered the pot as one of the toughest cuts on the animal comes out fork tender. One last step matters more than most people realize. Cut against the grain. Brisket has long parallel muscle fibers. Slicing across them shortens each fiber, making every bite tender. Slice with the grain, and the same perfectly cooked meat turns chewy. 16 years after those tenement kitchens, on March 4, 1861, Abraham Lincoln chose corned beef, cabbage, and potatoes for his inaugural luncheon. Martha Washington had served cold corned beef for breakfast at Mount Vernon decades earlier. During both World Wars, canned corned beef, called bully beef, became a standard military ration shipped across oceans. Tenement survival food, presidential table, wartime staple. Today, 49% of American adults celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Corned beef brisket is the most purchased item for the holiday. A dish born from poverty became a national ritual. Here is where the story turns. That national ritual never crossed the Atlantic back to Ireland. In Ireland, the traditional St. Patrick's Day meal is still lamb or bacon. Pubs that serve corned beef today are doing it for tourists. Until 1970, Irish pubs were closed by law on St. Patrick's Day because it was a religious observance. The parades, the green beer, the corned beef, all of it was invented in America by people who were no longer in Ireland and could never go back. And the name itself carries one more layer of confusion that nobody corrects. Corned has nothing to do with corn. In Old English, a corn was any small grain or particle. A corn of wheat, a corn of sand, a corn of salt. Corned beef means beef preserved with grains of salt. The name is centuries old, but because Americans hear corn and think of maize, a second misconception sits on top of the first. A dish that is not Irish, named after a grain that is not corn. Next March, when someone sets a plate of corned beef in front of you, look at the color. That pink is sodium nitrite reacting with myoglobin. The tenderness is collagen surrendering to 3 hours of low heat. The recipe came from a kosher butcher on the Lower East Side. The cabbage came from Irish poverty. The name came from medieval English. And the holiday it represents was invented by people who left home and built something new from whatever was cheapest on the block. Not Irish, not corn, not even the natural color of the meat. Salt, thyme, and 2 communities who shared a street corner and a meal. That is what sits on your plate every March. That's the process. We reveal how things actually work one story at a time. If there's something you'd like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.